welcome everybody to the Onward VR Master League Season 11, Week 7. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster, Trip. How are you doing today, Trip?
I am doing fantastic, and I am super looking forward to watching BossFight and VeLocity duke it out today.
Yeah, we got a seriously high-octane matchup coming at you this afternoon. It is ranked 1 versus ranked 3. BossFight is ranked 1 worldwide right now versus ranked 3 worldwide in the global ladder. And so it's going to be some serious competitive gaming. I mean, Season 11, Trip, we've talked a lot about it. It's been some of the most fun Onward to watch. And with these 2 EU teams, I really don't know what to expect this afternoon.
I don't either, but I do want to correct you. It's BossFight number 1 EU, VeLocity number 3 EU.
Okay, not global. Okay.
The top tier EU matchup for sure. Like,
yeah,
the top of the ladder. But yeah, I don't know what to expect. We haven't seen a whole lot of VeLocity playing. I mean, I can't remember the last time I actually watched them.
I know they have familiar names, you know, just looking now at the roster that's in lobby. You got Ollyhead, you have Little Sayonara, Raylan, and Lego for days. I recognize those names. They've been in the league for a while, so it's players that are familiar with playing, you know, at a competitive level. And when you're in the EU, you really get kind of the trial by fire. You get thrown up against very competitive teams pretty early on, and you get to learn fast. And so these teams have developed quickly, and VeLocity, has really kind of come out of nowhere, so to speak. I'm trying to think how many games have even been cast of theirs this season.
So it looks like 3. And they have fought some of those, you know, trial by fire teams. They played Vikings and they won. They played Silent Purge and they won. They played Beginners and they lost. So that's the top 3 EU teams right there.
Right.
And now they're playing the 4th. It's a pretty good track record, honestly.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what kind of matchup we get here today, and I guess we should take a look at the pick bans for the evening for today, what we're gonna get in terms of where we're headed and what matchups we'll be seeing. Coming in from BossFight, we have the Suburbia ban. From VeLocity, we have the Quarantine ban. And Trip, I want to get your thoughts on these bans from the map pool.
So the ban coming out from VeLocity seems to be banning BossFight's most played map. They've played it 57 times.
Wow.
So that's a lot of experience and 74% win rate. So they're very, very good at it.
Yeah. It's the VeLocity ban then making perfect sense. And BossFight, not exactly fans of Suburbia. You know, it does make sense that gets excluded from them when you consider the history and what we know about them. You know, we've watched plenty of games from the BossFight squad. The map pick is interesting. BossFight going into Downfall. This one also not a surprise to anybody that's familiar with these teams and how they like to play. And if you're not, well, hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to fill you in. BossFight has the Lonely Viper, who is, I mean, by and large, one of the, I don't know, arguably the best sniper in the league. Trip? I mean, what is that?
He likes to say that. I mean, I don't know if it's accurate, but he likes to say that.
Yeah, maybe we don't want to pump the Viper ego more than it needs to be pumped, but he certainly has performed very well on Downfall here at a high level. He's a very skilled sniper, despite, you know, the talk or whatnot. He's very good at what he does, and so an element that VeLocity is going to have to be wary of. And when you think about a map like Downfall, there's a lot of windows, there's a lot of open gaps that you can peek from, but with the objectives and how they are, you don't really need to peek. You can set up tight kill boxes around these objectives, play very patiently, and wait for the collapse to come on, and then try and challenge that collapse. And I think that's going to be the most effective way to defend against BossFight, because if this VeLocity team starts to peek windows and starts to look for early picks, it's going to be bad news.
Yeah, but on the flip side, the sniper rounds, you know, if you're last standing, you've either got to make it towards the objective, you're really far off, or you're last man standing trying to defend with a sniper rifle against however many are still alive. It's it's a bad place to be on either end if you're last man up. So you've got to really rely on your teammates. You got to heavily rely on your teammates even to make those calls and get you your firing solutions. You need them to tell you where to look, because if you're sitting up on a high perch, a sniper area, and you're just scanning, you're visible and you're exposed. So you need someone to call out, oh, they're at upper dumpster, and then you kind of peek up, look for that kill, and tuck back in, which we see a lot of. BossFight, probably one of the top teams in communications on the entire league.
Yeah, they really excel at that, and it's a good example to set forward for the rest of these teams. I don't know if we have to give them the go-ahead or what, Trip, but both squads are in lobby and ready to hop. I'm ready to go for the action. Looking at the active rosters for today, we have coming in from BossFight, Radarhead, Woods 43, Scooby-Doo, Leggle, and Lonely Viper. Coming over on VeLocity, we have Olliehead, Little Sayonara, Raylan, Lego for Days, and John CZ. And I gotta wonder, is there a forehead rivalry growing here between Radarhead and Olliehead? Is this going to be a storied duo that develops here today?
Would you say they're going to go head to head?
All right. Okay, that's it. That's our cue to go into the action off of that one, Trip. Thank you very much. Round number 1 has finally begun. Looking forward to seeing just how this takes out today. It is going to be an exciting matchup. Like we mentioned, rank 1 EU versus rank 3 EU. BossFight versus VeLocity. We dive into the first bit of action, and VeLocity go on defense with a new objective, Trip. I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah, when I was looking around, I was like, oh, we're going to the ice cream truck objective, but it's actually slightly offset, and the spawn for it was crazy. The spawn's actually over by Brothel. You've got to cover a lot of ground to get to the objective, but the defense here from VeLocity, 2 in North HQ and 2 in Center Hotel with 1 up on the hill. A very strong position, actually, from John CZ up there by the stables, but like we said, 1, he's not running a sniper. He's running just an AK-12, and that's a long ways back to objective, but he does have coverage of a good amount of map.
That is a long ways, but to the point of the coverage, he's really the problem. He's gonna have to crash if they lose the 2 on objective. If they lose Lego for Days and Little Sayonara, that's when things get bad for him. As long as they don't lose control there, he has a fantastic angle. I mean, they have to challenge this huge line of sight that he has up there, and so certainly a solid bit of defense, and he's probably going to be, if anything, more of a communications piece up there, radioing in information. And, you know, despite our lack of knowledge on this map, Trip, these players certainly seem to know what's up.
You know, I think that even if they lost Little Sayonara and Lego, they still have good coverage, because Ollie can cover the front door, which you can cap from inside. So if you run in that front door and get in there, then they're really in trouble. There's no way anyone can make it there in time. But John can cover the backside, so anyone coming around the north side, up the street, whatever, is covered from that angle, and then Center Hotel only has to worry about the front side of objective. So it's pretty good overlapping field of fire, and BossFight looking like they're taking their time. I mean, we're seeing Viper in the northeast here, setting up with that sniper, trying to scan, but nobody's peeking. They know that there's a sniper on the field, and that's one of the things that changes your play style, especially on large maps like Downfall, where you know the other team takes a sniper. Even if Viper didn't take a sniper, for example, they would still all be tucked in, hiding, not trying to peek those windows. You have to come to the objective. They know that, and they're playing that time and objective.
Yeah, and again, the really only thing that Viper can pick is John, and John is staying he's not looking to shoot, so he's not trying to clear his barrel over that wall. He's just literally ahead peeking, just getting his eyes clearance, and he's blending into that wall at a distance, and so really going to be something that's hard to identify. I guess the one thing we are going to have to watch, though, is this, again, push up from Radarhead. It's starting to come through now with 3 minutes left. BossFight's beginning to get closer to what I like to call a kill box. This is exactly what we talked about in the pre-show, Trip, where teams can set up, avoid peeking out of windows, and wait for a team to collapse on objective. That's what this defense is. It's waiting for Radarhead to get close. It's waiting for the rest of this offense to get into a position where they're going to jump onto that objective, and then the kills are going to come through. But until that happens, it's just a game of cat and mouse, and Radarhead maybe could find Ollie.
I really liked the cross that Radar just made. He had Viper and Woods 43, the other Woods, sorry, Woods 43, covering the North HQ window while he made the cross. So if someone did peek out to shoot at him, he had that long-range suppressing fire. He made it to the Volk tower, and now the rest of the team is crossing behind him. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. What is the play here?
Yeah, everyone's starting to move down. Woods coming off of that Overwatch position. Shots coming in from the backside. That's going to give away John's position. And you can see Radar kind of cued into that. He's like, oh, what the heck? Where did those shots come from? Was not ready for those. That whole team now directed up on that side. And I'm sure the likes of Viper is on the hunt for that. But it's, again, still just BossFight looking for picks. They can't find anything yet.
Viper's actually not looking at that. I don't know if he knows where those shots came from, because that's a very different position. We haven't seen that played in like 11 seasons, right? You don't go up towards the stables. It's a death trap, but the new spawn allows you to get up there. And the position Viper's taking is also a relatively new. We don't see people take this normally just because you're so far away. John does see him though and takes him out, and that's Overwatch down for BossFight.
A big pickup, but if John stays tucked, this push could find some success. They go for days, finds the kill on Woods, trying to swing around that far edge. The kill box coming into success. Lego's gonna try and cross, and he gets inside. Your point made, he gets inside the door. The coverage doesn't come in from Ollie, and now things are bad. Lego's punching in the code, the defense that looked so good. Flounders, wow. BossFight take a cap 2-0.
Exactly as predicted. And even if they hadn't got the cap, even if Lego had, failed that cap and just sat there, the shooting gallery that was the crash, I mean, they called out, hey, he's on objective. Everyone starts running in, and Scooby's just sitting there at the helicopter picking people off.
Unreal. Take a look at that replay. I think I caught the entry. No, I caught the cap, but still, making that entryway into the door, I mean, perfect prediction trip. Everything... Actually, I think that you called what came to fruition there. Our kill box prediction, the dive through the window. It feels good to be correct up here on the desk, but wow, what a stellar start to this series for BossFight to come out on their map pick, drop in a quick 2-point lead, just perfectly executed and almost perfectly executed by VeLocity. A great kill box setup that looked good. I had confidence in it working. To your point, they had the right coverage, but one weak point can get exploited, and BossFight found that tiny little gap in coverage to make their way through.
I wonder, so the one thing we didn't talk about during that round, Scooby had his drone out. And I wonder if that's how they found or decided where they wanted to make this push from. I heard it at one point by Volk Tower, but I never actually caught it on camera. So I'm not sure what he was able to scan and what he was able to call out before that drone went down.
Sure.
But that was right before Radar ended up in that tower, so I'm thinking he scanned like a path, and he's like, okay, here's where we're gonna go, guys, and just made that call on the fly.
Crazy. Great play. Great, I mean, patience all across the board. The entire team at BossFight hunting for kills. The first pick comes in from VeLocity. That's looking good. They deny Woods, who, hey, let's talk about that, is on BossFight. A player that has historically been on beginners is now playing for BossFight. It's a big shakeup in the EU scene.
So something we don't normally see, this spawn actually has 2 Volk defensive spawns. And the one that BossFight just got going to afford them a quicker ability to get to the objective and the North HQ. But they're not going to be able to cross as far south and defend the valley. Although it does look like Scooby made it into Center Hotel. VeLocity not opting to push those quick angles and going to go for the valley instead.
Smart play, because if they do push, Viper here has a couple of angles there. He did just ID a quick peek up onto that north building, and so it is some information to gather from this boss fight defense, but no early picks. And to your point, I think it is because VeLocity opted to not push up over those ledges and expose themselves to these shots from Viper. But as I say that, a couple of players looking for those kills. The drone getting flown about. That's trying to gather info. Maybe it'll ID Viper in the back here.
Take it out.
Viper also in an uncommon position that we haven't really seen in 11 seasons, hiding behind the rocks. This whole eastern side of the map, western side of the map is exposed. Normally, you would never go up on this hill and try and push anywhere. But because of these new spawns, you're able to get up the hill faster, and we're seeing some very interesting plays from it.
Yeah, he very well could find these sniper shots onto the ledge. He is dialed in there. You can see the laser identifying that, and down goes one. A headshot to full kill, so the res not going to be an option. One full kill coming in from Radar, and off to a great start for BossFight. Just how you want to kick off your defensive round. They're up 2-0 already. If they can lock this in, I mean, come on, 3-0 on map 1.
Yeah, that'd be a great start for them. And I don't think that anyone on the VeLocity side is running a magnified optic. Actually, Lego has a 2x, and he's looking for someone in North Brothel, I believe is the EU call out for that one.
A lot of brothel callouts from EU.
I know. I think we call that North Watch in the NA. Oh, a nade coming out from Scooby. Oh, just short of the wall on the John. Wow, what a throw though. Immediately after those gunshots, just nade up into the air on its way.
And that's one thing we've seen a lot of at the high level. Players getting very good at throwing precise grenades. Not just close grenades, but literally pinpoint accurate grenades. It's insane because it's you have to remind yourself, this isn't like a point click, okay, I can aim at this dot on the skybox every time and make my throw. It is a physical toss that they're making that they have mastered mechanically, and it is truly something to be impressed by when you see a good grenade toss come in. A lot of shots coming out, a lot of suppressive fire is what it looks like to me. Nothing really finding much purchase from this VeLocity offense, really just kind of keeping this defense tucked into windows and what have you.
2.5 minutes left on the clock. The push starting to come in from the south. Got Little Sayonara and Ollie head over here with the smokes, but they're going to be suppressed by both Viper and who's that? Woods and Radar also having possible angles down the street. Little Sayonara with the LMG doing that suppressing fire. Ollie trying to hit Viper at the rock, but they're not actually gaining ground. The rest of the team. Oh, Viper.
Why?
That C4 throw. Scooby using all of his utility, just short of everything, though, unfortunately. On the wrong side of the wall there for Little Sayonara. Believe Viper did hit Ollie at one point, and he had to heal, so he's hurt. Little Sayonara pushing up into center with coverage from John CZ watching that upstairs. He's going to push. Is he going to be able to get Scooby on top of the stairs here?
It's going to be a challenge. He goes for it. Doesn't even check up to that high angle. Scooby finds that kill. There's so many other offensive players around him. He's got Ollie head. He's got John just outside. He knows where John is. He tried to frag him, and John's going to be up next on the challenger list on the stairs. Ollie here as well, so it's a duo that Scooby has to deal with.
Scooby has moved positions. He's now up on the roof. Are they going to breach and clear? They've got 60 seconds left on the clock. They're close enough to get to the objective, but they've still got 5 defenders still standing. Lego on the north side pushing up onto Legel and Radar's position, while John and Ollie decide to clear Center Hotel. Are they going to be able to do it in time? Even if they take this roof, they've got to get back down the stairs and towards objective. John decides to go for objective, and Radar cleans that up easily. Lego now on the corner. Is he going to swing, find Radar? No, Radar finds him instead. And Scooby cleans up Center Hotel, and they take that 3-point lead.
A nice round, guys, comes in, and yeah, certainly was from BossFight. A commanding defensive victory locked in there, and now they've got a nice 3-0 lead. Certainly pushing forward to that sweep for map 1, and it's exactly, again, how you want to start things. And we have to now frame things and put things into perspective for maybe viewers that aren't really aware of how things work. First map of the game is picked by the home team, so BossFight have chosen Downfall as their map. So that means they're comfortable on it. They know that they can most likely win, or at least that's the intent. That's the vibe that that's the vibe check. That's the vibe they're getting. Certainly good vibes right now because they're up 3-0 on their map. The next map we go to is VeLocity's map pick, and I gotta wonder where that takes us, because if you look at the bans, we still have 2 custom maps in the map pool. And what that means, for those that aren't familiar, is that these 2 new maps are essentially maps that haven't really been historically in the map pool for Onward in the VR Master League. These are maps that teams haven't really had a lot of playtime on, and so it's a bit of an even playing ground for new teams and old. So it's really fun to see what kind of strategies come out, because really every week is a new strat that you're seeing getting played on these custom maps. And again, I guess to sort of highlight what the VRML does best, it is community made. So we're just highlighting more of the community. Being a community involved league is something that I think is one of the cooler things we've been doing. And so maybe we'll see a custom map come in, something like Sand or a Shipyard. I'd love to see it. And I got to wonder if maybe that's where VeLocity will take us. We're not there yet, though. VeLocity still has an opportunity to battle back. A cap gets them 2 points, so they could be right back into this. If they can defend here and then go on to get that cap, they could tie this game up in 2 rounds. So all they have to do here is hold the fort down, and I gotta wonder where they're gonna hold this fort down. What is our next objective? I think it is, yeah, it is a familiar one that we all know over at the, well, this one has multiple names too, but the dumpster building, lower dumpster.
Lower
you know,
dumpster.
yeah.
Lower bin. We gotta call it right.
There
Lower
you go.
bin.
Yeah. Thank you. You have to follow the EU. You're right. You're absolutely right. There's bins and brothels all around this place. You got to watch out. You don't know where you're going to be stumbling into.
Such a seedy town. Bins and brothels. I mean, if that's your only landmarks here, man, you need your town council to spend some money on renovations and gentrification.
Maybe some roads would be a good step. Either way, we are into the bin objective, named so because there is garbage bins around. It is going to be a far spawn from BossFight. There is a very quick spawn that BossFight could have gotten, but they did not. And so it is going to allow for a bit of a slower rollout to the start of this round 2. 3. Man, math's tough, especially when you got to subtract.
Just, you don't really expect a cap that early. That's why. Round 1 cap is pretty impressive on a Master League match.
It really is. Got Raylan taking control of the 3-story, and this is what I was talking about in terms of getting into like comfortable positions. You know, with that far spawn, Raylan has the comfortability to push up here and now take control of the 3-story, and so he can challenge all kinds of different angles if he so chooses.
Yeah, this spawn or this defensive setup is very standard because it works well, right? Meta doesn't need to change if you can't punch through it. That white building up on the south there is a strong contender for most powerful position, because you can see almost all of the map getting towards this objective.
Yeah, John's up in here and he's holding it down, and it's a powerful spot. But again, all of these positions, it's a lot of peeking. To peek that window is risky. Little Sayonara is staying tucked in, as is Ollie. Lego's not really risking looking out through the windows. If he does, he's in bad shape. Raylan also now pretty tucked into a tight angle, but it's a late angle. Look at where he's holding Trip. He's watching the cross, but Woods has already made it across this line of sight, so Woods could be a serious threat to this defense.
I do want to point out that there was a C4 thrown at start, so Lego has... Wait, I don't know where it went. It's over here somewhere on the street.
I went to you looking for it, and now...
It's there somewhere. I just don't see it now. I know it was thrown.
Well,
it's up. Oh, it's way farther than I thought it would get.
All right, have you found
But
it?
past the tire. Yeah, it's past the tire on the street.
Oh, interesting. Blending into the
Smart play,
sand
'cause,
there. Yeah.
I mean, do you really check for a
No.
C4? Are you looking at the ground when you're creeping up on windows that could have defenders in it? And that position is covered from the Marsoc defense or the upper dumpster defense because of the wall. So putting a C4 there is basically like having a 6-man on the field.
Yeah, the drone is down. Thanks for calling.
You'll love to see that utility getting placed. It adds so much to the defensive setup, and it's something that has been incorporated in Season 11. A bit of a rotation that you love to see. Certain tools getting excluded, like the drone. Certain tools getting reintroduced, like the C4 and smoke grenades, a lot of which we haven't seen. We haven't seen too many smokes get deployed here yet today. Maybe eventually, if BossFight can get close to the objective, they will. But man, I love the VeLocity setup. It truly isn't exposing themselves to very many angles, and it's exactly how you need to fight BossFight, because you can't afford to be checking a lot of long distance angles. They have great shots. And it's oh, here maybe we'll see some action here as if Lego checks. Him and Woods could be getting into a duel soon enough. John actually going to be the first one to signal off for a kill.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why Legel decided to push Valley. They knew that John was there. He shot the drone down. Everyone trained their sights on him. Legel actually put a 203 into the dark corner, but John was tucked in on the backside. And then Legel decided he was going to go for it. Where did that come from?
That was from
Lynn.
Radar. Oh, Radar was trying to go straight up through the middle. Yeah, he was trying to go for a sneak cap, but Raylan had that line covered. And it's, again, what I like about the VeLocity defense. They have very late kill boxes. So Radar was like, well, I'm not getting shot by anybody. Is nobody watching this? And he goes for the cross, but nope, it's just Raylan really waiting for a very deep angle before he takes those shots. And a good setup here from VeLocity. He's got them into a 5v3, a great position to be in. And I mean, Lonely Viper and Woods are in a tough spot for 1:48 left.
Yeah, they've got a lot of ground to cover. Ray Lynn, if he peeks a little bit more, could possibly see Scooby on this approach as well.
Or if he goes back to the position he was in.
Yeah, or if he goes up to the top floor where he can cover everything.
Yeah.
But I think he's leaving that work to his teammates, although Scooby did just shoot at White Building, and now the peek might come out.
Oh.
Actually getting that shot on White Building and crashing towards objective. He's got Tablet out.
The smoke's here. A very nicely placed smoke onto the corner could deny some vision from Raylan. Raylan has to be checking. Scooby comes in. Sayonara able to challenge on objective. A huge save, because if he goes down, it's bad news. Raylan, like you said, has taken to the high ground. That proves to be worthwhile. And now Woods 43 and a lone 1v4. A tough spot to be in right now.
That C4 does get blown a little earlier. Preemptive, want to make sure that area is clear. Woods, however, does have a pretty good idea where they're at. Comes around the corner firing. Ray Lynn pre-firing that corner on him. Does have to heal. Now he's charging in. Into pre-fire. Raylan getting outside. Woods still nice. Trying to clear corners and can't do it.
And that's the start. That's exactly how VeLocity needed to start this momentum shift. Now you go, think about this, Trip. They get a fast spawn. They play it properly where they go prone. They get undetected off of that fast spawn. There's an opportunity for a very early pick. You can utilize that fast spawn for a couple of things, right? You can choose to go for that quick pick. You can get the guy that's rotating up to the 3-story. You can kill him. That gets you an advantage, but it gives away your spawn. You can let that go through and play it pretty slow, but have that advantage of being right next to objective. I don't know. There's a possibility for a cap play here from VeLocity, and they're maybe starting to warm up now after that last round. That last defensive round looked very good. That was a great kill box, a good setup. They didn't let the cap rattle them in the previous defense that they had, and they did a great job of staying disciplined on their angles and ultimately only letting a few of them die on their defensive round.
Yeah, but now we're going to see BossFight defend the same objective, and we just saw VeLocity do it very, very solidly. Is BossFight gonna have the same defense? Are we gonna see a different? I mean, there's only so many places you can get to.
Yeah.
To defend from that. There's definitely going to be one in that white building in the south. There's definitely going to be one or two in both of the dumpster buildings. And I don't know where your fifth guy goes. That's your wild card, but he's probably going to go for Center Hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just love seeing the tactical play here, the decision making, the coordination from the teams. It's everything you expect out of a very competitive esport, and it's what you get when you get to tune into Onward, and especially again, like we've been saying, Trip, with season 11. It is so fun to just watch these teams duke it out. There's so much variety. And speaking of, I don't think it's been a while since I've seen this spawn. Another fast spawn that you can certainly be exploited for an early kill. And if Viper is not ready, he could find himself in a world of hurt very early into this round because this team is going to be challenging him. And he seems to be ready. He's got a flash in his hand right now.
He is ready for this. He's assuming that they're there. That should have caught one, possibly two. Viper not running the sniper. Gets one. Does not get the second one. Little Sayonara up on the top, saving Ollie's life.
Huge play there. Gets the full kill, though. And so while he was trying to get Ollie in that transfer, he gets the confirm. And that's, I guess, as good as anything. A 1-for-1 trade. And it gives away the spawn. So now Sayonara and Ollie are going to have to go really up against a 4-man defense who knows where they are.
Little Sayonara putting rounds onto the lower dumpster upper windows, trying to just suppress that while the rest of the team, they're trying to hold that attention south while the rest of the team makes it around on the north. We do have two in that North Volk Tower.
Yep.
John CZ and Ray Lynn going to be taking the road approach past Center Hotel. They will have to deal with Legel in Center Hotel. And as we saw last round, that was a very strong position as well.
The game of cat and mouse, trying to find these picks early. It's what BossFight does very well, is they are very good at getting early picks and getting themselves into those early advantages, especially on this map. That's why they've been able to get that 3-0 lead, but all tied up 4 apiece. It's VeLocity's attack opportunity, and like I said, a cap here ties things up, so certainly not out of this one yet. And all BossFight have to do is just defend, and they've got themselves a map locked in, so we'll see what this ends up shaking out to be, but it's going to be a few more minutes before that comes through, just because the setup what VeLocity is looking for. And that's what I like to see. They're being patient. They're not trying to challenge early just because they have a good line of sight. They're waiting for the whole team to be able to push up together, allowing for that time to come through on that far ravine, allowing for the rotation to come through in the south so that they can all pinch down on objective together.
Stop. No, my game stopped.
Oh, no.
Little Sayonara was having some technical difficulties there. I think his dog was actually in his play space.
Oh, my goodness. The challenges of VR. I saw him back it up, and he ends up backing up into an exposed angle. Down he goes to a pick, and just like that, VeLocity lose one. Woods finds another. John's in a terrible spot now because his location has been very much identified, and he's got the likes of Legel as well looking for this pick. So a couple of defenders on the hunt here, and it is looking like BossFight may lock this one in and take map 1.
They're one step closer now. Woods getting John CZ, and it's all up to Ollie in the south. Quickest way to objective. I mean, definitely unapproached, but he's going to have to deal with Radar. Radar might be an easy pick as he peeks up over the hill here. Radar is rotating in and out of that dark room and upper dumpster. And Ollie should be able to see that clearly. Scooby, however, is going to be downstairs with Woods right above him. So when Ollie does start to make his push, I think he's out of utility. He'll have to run into 2 lines of gunfire.
Yeah, and Ollie's just trying to get information right now, and it doesn't really matter how much info he has. He's going to have to eventually push into these angles, and he's going to have to eventually challenge this tight kill box that BossFight has set up. To your point, if he finds Radar, then it really is just a 1v2 almost. Woods could peek as well, so really a 1v3. Legel could be excluded from the equation, and so maybe a path to victory, but certainly not an easy one. And I think Ollie's pretty aware of that because he has yet to full challenge this entryway. He has yet to sprint down into Scooby's position. And now he's really going to be second-guessing that option as you do see him kind of back off and rotate around.
Yeah, he spent at least 60 seconds just running around in this valley trying to decide which way he's going to go. And that on a large map is not what you want to have. You want to be able to make those decisions and commit as quickly as possible, because if you're going to have to make a rotation, that takes time. The map is big. If you're not going to make a rotation, why waste the time? Why not just go for it?
You like this, though. The prone play, nice and patiently moving up, trying to rotate around, trying to get up here so that he can quick challenge Radar. But then he's not getting the 1v3. He's getting the full 1v4 because Lego has an angle, and so it's not going to be exactly easy for him to push up. So we'll see. Now as utility comes out too, that's a dead giveaway as well. And 43 seconds left. Not a ton of time. I like this play, though. Going up to the two-story, he's going to look for maybe a pick through a tight angle. Maybe he'll look for woods there up into the two-story, but again, doesn't find much. Radar just goes for the challenge.
Radar missing him in the window. Now he goes downstairs. The gunfight comes out, and the trade goes the way of BossFight with 3 still standing.
That's going to be map 1 locked in by BossFight in a commanding fashion. Some solid defensive rounds and a great cap do get them a early lead that they capitalize on to secure their map pick. And again, that was their map choice, so not something I'm terribly surprised to see here today. BossFight are number 1 for a reason. They've been playing very good this season. They've been playing very consistently, and it's going to take a lot for VeLocity to dethrone BossFight here today. It's certainly a challenge for this VeLocity roster to go up against the likes of BossFight, and I'm curious where map 2 takes this trip. I'm curious what the choice is from VeLocity, how they're going to try to shake things up against the likes of BossFight. What is their plan of approach? And it's got me scratching the old noggin. I don't know how this is going to play out for him. Maybe there's a chance of success here. Map 2 is going to be Cargo. Trip, your thoughts?
I mean, their team is called VeLocity, and Cargo is a fast map, so maybe that's their, maybe that's what they're banking on.
Yeah. True. That's very good potential there. They could be trying to just full force challenge BossFight here, but BossFight, this is a map they know. Despite it being a map that's been out of the map pool for several weeks, it's back now, and BossFight has been pretty skilled on this map. The thing we have to think about, though, Trip, the thing we have to always be recollecting in our mind is what's changed in Season 11. And a big element here that's not going to be in the BossFight arsenal is the shield. The shield was commonly used on pushes in the EU meta on Cargo, and it's not an option now. C4 certainly going to be deployed, but there's no offensive utility in terms of that shield being thrown out today.
Yeah, and looking at the history here, we've got BossFight with 37 times playing Cargo and just over 50% win rate. Whereas on VeLocity's side, obviously they haven't been a team since it's been a map, so they've only got 1 time played, and they won it. But like you said, they're not new players. I mean, some of them are, but some of them have been around. I'm sure they've been playing Cargo. I'm sure they have strats. I'm sure they've watched casts. There's all kinds of info on Cargo. The only thing that has changed is there's 1 new objective on this map.
I wonder if I've seen it. I'm trying to think if I don't.
Here.
Okay. Well, we'll see. They'll get to see it if it comes up. But yeah, I guess again, the choice is interesting because BossFight's been around for a long time. They know this map. They're familiar with this map. It's not a map that VeLocity is going to catch them by surprise on. It's not a map that they're going to get even playing ground, so to speak, on. It's going to be a playing field that BossFight's comfortable in, and I don't know if that's a place that VeLocity wants to take BossFight in, because we've seen on Downfall they managed to cap. I mean, that cap though, it really was just getting past 1 line of sight. The shots were taken. I mean, like if that cap doesn't come in, I think that map 1's a lot different because the defense was solid from VeLocity when they went back to that next objective, and you know, it's got me wondering what could have been for map 1, and it has me wondering what could be for map 2 here. Again, we have to, even though VeLocity is a team that hasn't been, I don't think I think they were created in this season, right? They haven't been around. It's players that have been around for a while, but I'm not, double check for me, Trey, but when their inception was, it might have been season 10 or earlier. I could be completely off on when they were created.
Nope,
but
this season.
It's this season, but the players we're familiar with. I recognize names. I'm not. I know John CZ. I recognize Little Sayonara. These players are players we're familiar with, but we are seeing subs come in right now. From BossFight, Lego has been dropped out. Archer has been brought in, and from VeLocity, we are waiting for the 5th. So maybe a sub getting brought in there as well. And another talking point, Trip, something that we do talk about, the power of having that deep roster, having additional subs where you can bring in somebody that specializes in close quarters combat, that specializes on a specific map. And we're seeing it here on both sides. B6 Turtle being brought in on VeLocity's and Archer being brought in on BossFight's end. Two players that hopefully the teams are looking can help shift the tides a little bit of battle here, because so far, honestly, it's been a good back and forth despite the scoreline, and I gotta wonder what VeLocity can bring to the table here on Cargo. It's their map pick, and maybe they've got some tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah, so Archer, a very, very good close quarters player, obviously brought in as a specialty player, I'm assuming, from BossFight, which is a smart play. And on the VeLocity side, don't know a whole lot about them, but looking at their current roster, their overall roster, the team is new in Season 11, but the players are new as of Season 10. So they're all relatively new players as well. They've only got one season under their belt. But I'm looking at it, and they're all over. They've been on multiple teams. So, like, this is a team of people that played together and like playing together and left their respective teams to come make a new one. So they should be playing well together. I mean, you don't leave your team unless you have a reason to. And a team that meshes well together is a great reason to.
They're certainly disciplined. You know, you can see that on their defensive setups, they had a very tight kill box on downfall. They were not peaking angles over aggressively. It looked pretty in sync, and like everyone was on the same page. And so if you have that going into Cargo, it's very powerful. You can do a lot. There's a lot of options that open up to you as a team if you can if you can all push and play the game at the same time. You know, if you can all handle being aggressive all at the same time, Cargo is your playground. At the same time, you can play patiently on Cargo. There's options with a long time, with a 6-minute timer. There's plenty of time to work with on this map, and so I'm excited to see where we go, what this map takes us, where this takes us. We're waiting for a 5th to reconnect from VeLocity. Admittedly enough, coincidentally enough, the sub for VeLocity. So if issues continue, maybe he won't be subbing in here, and they'll be going back to the core that they had. And again, another point why it's important to have an active sub, because you never know what could happen tech-wise when you're playing in a league online. You have to be ready for all kinds of issues. And it looks like Turtle's back, so he should be hopefully able to stick through us here as we do hopefully start round 1 in just a few seconds, Trip. I am excited. I think this is going to be a lot more intense than Downfall was.
I think you might be right. These might be some very quick rounds. And we are finally going to start.
I think it's real. I think it's the beginning of round 1 now officially. BossFight on the defense, VeLocity on the offense. BossFight getting that far back behind crate objective, and very interested to see what the attack looks like from this VeLocity team. Flashes in hand so far, and smoke's getting deployed for the cross.
A long defensive smoke there going into the diamond on the south side. Not sure what the point of that one was, but Lego is going to throw it back. And a team down on the crossfire. The res does come out, but that person is now hurt. And the cross happens from Radar because the gunfire had to stop.
Yeah, so Radar gets tucked in. Everybody gets to where they want to be. VeLocity gets to cross the street. They get Raylan and B6 over here. Radar gets to tuck into the yellow room, so he's where he wants to be, and we'll see what the VeLocity offense ends up looking like. For now, it's being pretty patient. They're not getting over-aggressive. They're not overextending. They're looking for any pushed-up setup from BossFight. And one thing I often talk about on this objective trip is you don't need to extend on this objective. Radar really is as far out as you need to go. With this, you can stay pretty tucked in and create a pretty tight kill box.
You can, but if, you know, if smokes come out, if flashes come out, if you're all tucked in the same area or all really close, then you can get more of you caught in utility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is the backside objective, so it's harder to get on the north side of this red crate than it is to get on the south side of that red crate, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Curious to see what the attack looks like. Heavy smoke usage goes a long way here. You can deny vision from Archer and from Scooby. You can force some rotations, maybe get some picks. Good flashes go a long way here. To your point, I could catch out several players if a well-placed flash is dropped, and so gotta wonder what the VeLocity plan is. For now, it seems to be being very patient. Again, just quick peek in, looking for any sort of aggressive defensive setups. John checking that building. Little Sayonara concerned about this one, as you have to be, and it's causing him utility. They're going to deploy a flash out here, actually a full nade, and ultimately not end up challenging inside there because it doesn't go where they want. And yeah, the Phantom defense is really holding up this VeLocity push right now.
Yeah, and routing out radar head is very hard to do. I mean, you have to go into that room, or you have to get a nade through the door, which is a super exposed throw. You can't really do it from anywhere. So it's going to be potentially a one-to-one trade at the worst, at the best. I guess you could all run in there and all die, and that would be the worst.
Yeah, he is holding a slice of an angle, too. Just a tiny little fraction there to try and pick people out. And now maybe he could get Little Sayonara in the trade coming there. And so that's going to be a big pickup, I think, for VeLocity. I think that weakens BossFight more than anything. To lose radar there, it then comes down to the ultimate collapse on objective. They don't really have any peeking angles. Viper is extending out just a touch, but everyone else is pretty tight. And so VeLocity should be able to get pretty close to this objective.
Yeah, but if they keep shooting as they're making their approaches, they're not going to be able to sneak anywhere, and it's going to be a gunfight all the way towards objective. Now, it is a 4-on-4, so that gunfight could work out in your favor, but the crossfire from BossFight still strong. Woods and Archer there are going to be able to cover the same area, and it's just not going to be easy to cross that without utility, and I think they've used a lot of it already.
They really have. They've used a lot of it to clear out, again, the Phantom defense. There's another nade tossed at a standard spot, but it doesn't go quite far enough. It is a position that someone could be, but it could have been placed right on top of Scooby as well. That would have been a nice placed grenade, but ultimately I think he's still holding there with the clacker in hand, ready to detonate that C4. Shots come in from him. Actually go for a nade. A pretty good nade, too.
Ooh.
A great nade.
Sets off the C4 and takes down 2.
Absolute beauty of a toss. John's not going to get the res. There's Turtle calling for it. Piper's been identified on his aggressive peek. Gets the confirm, and John. Oh, huge pickup.
The callouts, the panicked callouts are coming out from Turtle. Oh, that's just a confirmation. Okay.
There's something. There's some momentum into the hands of VeLocity, but BossFight looking good here. They've managed to pick off everyone in the center. You can see a pile of dead bodies. C4 does get detonated. Aggressive push from Raylan. He decides to challenge and charge up through the middle. That doesn't pay off. BossFight have a great defensive round, a very patient one with a great kill box. Gets them another W. They take the lead yet again.
Yeah, maintaining that momentum from map number 1, BossFight holding strong. And, you know, neither of those C4s actually being used the way they were intended One getting set off by a grenade. Scooby, I think he was probably prepped and ready for that because where it was placed was obviously going to get seen.
I almost think that the first C4 exploding to the nade was intended. Because imagine this
Yeah,
as
I think
a,
that
as
one
a
was.
it had to have been because he knew the C4 was there. The nade was perfectly placed. That detonates the C4. That gets you the confirm instantly. And so it's certainly a good idea that plays pretty well ultimately for the boss fight defense. I love to see that kind of innovation and strat to get those full kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dangerous thing. If you want to completely clear out a C4, you have to use your own grenade. You have to blow it up. And so they shot it, they called C4 as deactivated, but then they hung out around it, and a nade can set it off still. So that's, do you really want to waste a nade just to clear that diamond, or do you want to use it on a known position like they threw one at Scooby? It's a tough call.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we'll see if VeLocity deploy any utility here into our next round as we get back into the action. Round number 2 on Cargo. It is VeLocity's map pick, so I expect some semblance of comfortability here to come through, but curious to see how VeLocity react, how they shift up their strats, if they can come back from what has been a couple of rounds secured by the likes of BossFight, or if they can manage to continue to lose here. BossFight will continue to run away with the momentum. Certainly not what they want, but we'll see. BossFight getting aggressive out the gate, though. Nice early setup.
Oh, no. Ray Lind downing Little Sayonara. Where?
It was tossed for a long distance, and it hit the beam and dropped straight down onto him.
Unfortunately, leaving the exit of tunnel a little bit more exposed. Going to have to be defended from B6 Turtle there.
What is that control? East yellow, west yellow.
You gotta wonder, what the difficulty is with a player like Woods to go onto the BossFight team and then have to learn all these new callouts, right? Because each team has sort of unique callouts. It could be B1, B2 for certain things, or yellow, blue. There's different callouts for all these teams, and so something I haven't really considered, but it's got to be a challenge when you move to a new team after being on one for literally 10 seasons. It's good to have that kind of shift. Has got to be a bit of a change up for Woods.
I think I'd lean towards Woods being able to pick these up pretty easily. For one, these teams have been duking it out for 10 seasons. I mean, you're hearing the call-outs from the other team. They're playing together. They play the same same hours, so they're in comps together. I think that it would be a pretty easy transition for him. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe he's just sitting there going, why did I leave beginners? Why did I, every time, just the whole round.
Well, I don't know if he's thinking that now, just because they are doing pretty dang well. It's been a pretty solid game so far from BossFight. Maybe feeling, if anything, he's made the right choice because they are playing a pretty solid game. A game certainly deserving of #1 in EU. But yeah, so I guess what you're saying here is that Woods basically came in, BossFight said, hey, here's our callouts, and Woods says, I already know them. And then they went from there. Yeah, I guess that could certainly be the case as well. These teams do their homework and are very invested in being the best of the best, so that wouldn't surprise me to say the least. But a bit of a quick rollout to get up early, but then everyone playing it pretty patiently. VeLocity doing well to stay tucked in. John's on a bit of a rotation here on the backside, which does get risky at times. But other than that, everyone's seemingly pretty tucked in from this VeLocity defense, being patient enough to wait for the push to come through from BossFight. 3 minutes left on the clock, though, and I mean, BossFight could wait this out until really the last 30 seconds.
Woods just prone here, laying down that suppressive fire down the pipeline.
My gents, in 30 seconds, we want to be ready, Sierra. In 30 seconds, start getting ready.
Radar and John trading outside of the tunnel.
John traded.
I think Radar might have been a little ahead of the anticipated push there from Scooby.
Yeah, the call out was there from Scooby to in 30 seconds, and Radar was already challenging a very aggressive angle. So down he goes. The utility is scooped up from Lego, and he's going to dish that out. I think that catches Viper, but the push wasn't coming through just yet, so doesn't really shut down the BossFight offense too much. We're just going to have to watch what this VeLocity defense does. Just kind of keep an eye on how they hold here, what their angles are, kind of late picks they're going to look for. And, you know, Raylan's in this corner spot behind these barrels, but it is so common. I would be really surprised if a nade or a utility piece doesn't get thrown here.
All the
there's
nades,
the flash.
all the utility coming out. Viper getting that flash on the Raylin, but goes down to Turtle as he tried to make the approach onto the objective. Scooby in the smoke, now trying to make the approach onto Lego. And he's going to get past it. Woods is rushing the objective, takes down B6, and I was looking for Raylin. Raylin getting that kill. Scooby redirecting that smoke, and he's going to be able to get behind objective. Raylin misses the cross, but catches him on the backside.
And Scooby committing to the push, doesn't drop back to get the res onto Archer. An opportunity there to have another supporting figure in the arsenal, but timing's everything for a team like this, and he sticks to the plan because he doesn't even know who's dead or alive at that point. They're charging in, he hears gunshots, he hears them on from both teams. He's hearing his enemy's rifles being shot, he's hearing his teammates' rifles being shot, and then he does, you know, you really don't know who's up and alive. And so you have to commit to the push and commit to staying in sync, and ultimately it leaves him dead with a res on the table and gives VeLocity a round. They are in it here on their map pick, tying things up by the skin of their teeth, one apiece.
Another thing about those quick timed pushes is on most maps, you don't have the time to hit your radio in between gunshots. You're pushing on objective. There are enemies around every corner. You don't have time to make a call out. But on cargo, you could just yell at your teammate and they'll hear you, which is why I like smaller maps. I prefer to do it. Actually, when I make call outs, I make an initial call out locally. I just yell. Whoever's here around me can hear it. And then once I'm sure no one's coming to shoot me, I make the secondary over the radio.
The high tier tips coming in from Trip. High tier tips from Trip. Say that 10 times fast. Real tongue twister. But yeah, great stuff from both ends here to get us tied up. And we do a slight shift in objective placement just to the other side of the crate. And that slight shift means the world, Trip. I mean, it really opens up this objective significantly. That tight kill box that you saw from both sides defensive-wise isn't necessarily an option anymore. You have to invest in a little forward defense simply because there's a serious threat of a cap on this objective. Good smokes placed can shut down vision and open up an opportunity for a team to charge in and get a cap. And so I anticipate to see some C4 invested in some forward placements, but you do see toss there. There's one distributed. It's called out as a bad placement, but it should do some damage if it's deployed late. And meanwhile,
Viper getting up very, very aggressively on the east side of the map here. I don't know if he was called out. The smokes heavily invested. Those are all defensive smokes under the pipes.
Wow, this is crazy. He's charging.
Turtle.
A wild play there. Gets one, and you know we've seen these 1-for-1s from. I don't know, was it Viper last time too? I think it might have been, but either way, these 1-for-1 trades that I think honestly are doing some good work. It's really now that if you're this VeLocity offense, what is your mindset? You know, you just got pushed out by Viper on that end. You don't know really if he's still alive even because you heard two gunshots and there's two dead. You don't know if he won that trade, so Viper could still be active in the VeLocity's mind on that end, and now they have to play around it. And so if anything, it slows up and throws off this VeLocity offense a little bit.
Even not worrying about Viper, if they assume that it was a trade because maybe they heard both gunshots go off, right? You can kind of assume it would have been a trade. But now they have to worry about, well, if he got up that far on that side, is there someone in the building, like on the other side of this wall? Like, did they push up everywhere aggressively? And So they're going to have to be slower on their cross out of center and have to make sure that no one else made it up on an aggressive defensive position. But the rest of BossFight tucked in, waiting.
That is a pretty well deployed smoke there. Lego does a great job to deny Scooby vision on this doorway. And then he's able to toss the frag comfortably. A great toss down Scooby on the backside. The rotation here is forced from Woods. Lego also finds Radar head behind the crates, and some big pickups here coming in. The res is important as it gets them back into a 3v4, but regardless, VeLocity have an advantage here.
I'm surprised we didn't see a secondary. Oh, we saw a C4 from Scooby take out Lego. Same spot as last time. The res will come out, though. Cannot be challenged in the center containers.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised we didn't see a secondary nade onto Scooby's position, because normally those nades just down,
Right.
and the second one comes out for a confirmation, or you get a confirmation and the guy that's going for the res.
Oh my goodness.
But all of these downs leave VeLocity with the point.
Methodical picking apart of the offense gets VeLocity a very good Marsoc win nonetheless. I mean, bulk rounds traded here, Trip, but for VeLocity to come out here and get a Marsoc dub, that puts them in the lead for the first time in this series on their map pick. Maybe some momentum shifting, and maybe some speed shifting to that VeLocity team. Some velocity starting to come together for them. I don't even know. I don't think I've ever even used velocity, and like I don't even know how to use that word in a regular sentence. But regardless, they are certainly getting some momentum on their side right now, because that was a good round.
It was. I'm still a little concerned that they didn't pay attention to the C4, and
Sure.
that might happen again. You know,
Right.
But other than that, the picks were good. The trade at the beginning not seeming to stop. I mean, I don't think they even went over there to check it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's again, when you're in that pressure moment, you have to consider, you know, what the emotions are, how these players are feeling. We're obviously seeing a lot more than they are as well. There's a lot less information being conveyed to each individual player, unless communication is on point, which you'd expect it to be for both of these teams at this level. It's a challenge to say the least, and so yeah, now they have really a task in front of them, right? If you're VeLocity, I think you got to be super afraid of a cap, because BossFight, I'm sure, are thinking cap right now. I can't imagine they're thinking anything else. They've got 4-1 on map 1. They have room to wiggle here on map 2 with an objective that can be capped on with some good smokes placed around it. I would be shocked if they don't go for the cap here. And so VeLocity have to have that in their mind. They have to be prepped for this cap. They have to be ready and try and do something to deny the opportunity, because, I mean, heck, we saw the cap attempt there from Viper on that last round. He was trying to get the cap. He flashed well and almost found an angle to get up, but couldn't. And so, yeah, we'll see as we get into our next round if VeLocity can weather the BossFight storm and they can get that 3-1 advantage that they so desperately need here in map 2.
And there's not a lot of distance between that crate and the objective. I mean, if you lay down prone, if you're standing at the container and you literally just lay down, you're probably close enough to cap. That's how much distance you have to cover. But we are seeing pretty much the same defense.
Yeah, but you got Sayonara. Look at him. He's pushed out pretty far forward. He's looking for an early pickup onto the doorway entry from underneath that crate door, and it could net them some good picks when the push comes through, when it's time to push. Question is, will he last that long? Radar's right here. Could easily dump utility around the corner and have a great little angle onto little Sayonara, so I don't know what's going to happen.
Or Raylin could friendly frag him again. That's what happened last time.
Yeah, maybe he's been scolded efficiently enough to not throw that grenade again, because Sayonara has survived for longer than the first minute. Radar has dropped off of his entry point, and you know, if anything, he's drawn the attention. Little Sayonara is still focused on that entry point, as is B6 Turtle. As I say that, I guess I was wrong. Sayonara had the angle from underneath. That was great. Radar had no idea where he got tagged from.
Sayonara's gonna stay there, gonna keep trying the under the door position. It's a risky move considering probably gonna see a nade coming into that position.
Scooby's gonna check it. Scooby just peeks it. Sayonara doesn't take the shots though. It can't afford to. And oh, there it is. There is a savvy play coming in from Scooby, aware of that check underneath the
Never mind, he didn't try
crate
to
door. And
so that's
wow, great job from Scooby.
I thought
to
that
even
was
things
gonna
out.
go very
I
poorly
did too.
from Scooby because he said he traded and then he went for the confirm and I was like, oh, he's not gonna be like really trying to get this, just tapping a body, but he got it.
Yeah, incredibly fortunate there to get that pickup because I think that spot would have really been detrimental to the push when it comes through. Now they've got one, so they've evened the odds a bit, and I'm sure the cap is back into their mind. But still, and I say that because we haven't seen any utility yet, Trip. There's been no frags, smokes, flashes, anything tossed yet. I'm assuming they're saving it for the push.
Yeah, we're definitely waiting on that signature boss fight time push here. Right now, they're just trying to get information. They're trying to get someone to shoot back at him. Viper rotating all around the map, trying to draw fire. They want to know where the defenders are.
Exactly what this dance is that we're witnessing here. You know, the back and forth. He's just trying to force the rotations. And ultimately, everybody else on the team covering different angles, you know, covering those peaks, waiting to see if those peaks come through so that they can take down that rotating defensive player. But to VeLocity's credit, they do well to stay disciplined. They really are doing really good to stay tucked in on their defense on their defensive end and not overexpose and not overcommit to certain angles. It takes a lot of discipline to do as a fresh team like this. So impressive to see, and it's what's giving BossFight such a difficult time right now on this cargo map. And John, with a little bit of a cheeky peek, finds Viper in the center.
Viper up a little bit ahead of the team. I wonder if he's gonna get scolded by Scooby when they get back into the tent.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was getting a little bit ahead of himself. Woods finds John, and again, if Viper had just waited, that pick would have come through. But instead, it's just the three. The call comes in from Scooby, and I think one thing we've learned here is Scooby's certainly the vocal commander of this BossFight team. He is leading them every step of the way here, on the timing, everything. His pad's out. He does very little actual shooting in these setup moments. He's just pad out doing calls and really trying to sync up this team. And here comes the smokes. Here comes the utility. Interestingly enough, it's very heavily focused over onto this east side, not necessarily where it typically is tossed.
I need at least one person to push left.
Oh, the smokes from Scooby getting caught on the ceiling. Not the placement he was looking for.
Oh, what? Archer finds the blind pick. Massive for them. Woods is going to push out. No one's here. No one's covering. Woods could cap, but he's got the beginner's tendency too cooked into his blood. And he doesn't go for the boss. He doesn't go for the code. He doesn't punch it in. Archer, he says, I can do it. He gets the pad out. Raylan denies that. Woods and Scooby now on the hunt in a 1v2.
Raylan doesn't have a great defensive position here. He's going to have to fight both guns at once. Scooby sees him, ducks behind, and takes the trade.
Wow, and that, honestly, a gift to VeLocity there. That could have been an easy cap for a boss fight. That could have been an easy 3-1 or 3-2 if Woods had sat down there and punched in the code. But you know, I say it in jest, but it's really the truth. Beginners just don't go for caps very often. You know, it is more times than not when they were on objective, you'd see them go for kills. And I'm starting to think that maybe that's because that was Wood's philosophy. You know, he was thirsty there for the kills. He was on objective, and I know it's. I
do the same thing. It depends. If you look at your tablet before you get to objective, you can go for it. But if I was Woods, I don't think he'd looked at his tablet at all the whole round. He was like, Scooby's making all the calls. He doesn't have to look at the tab. He just gets the information fed to him through his earpiece, and he just gun up the whole time. You get to objective, and then you pull it out and read the code. No, you get to objective and go, hey, somebody cap this, and just keep moving, looking for those kills.
Yeah, well, you know, have a little faith in yourself, Trip. Have a little confidence in your ability to punch in the code, okay? Commit to getting those 2 points, and maybe it'll get SMC a victory or two this season, okay? Well, I'm curious to see how, of course, your team does, but that's neither here nor there. BossFight and VeLocity really at each other's throats here on Cargo. BossFight having a great round on Downfall, but what we saw from VeLocity was telling, right? Even on Downfall, despite the 4-1 loss, they had good defense. It was disciplined. It was tight. It was coordinated. And here on Cargo, we're seeing the same thing, and that goes a long way on a map like Cargo, especially up against a team like BossFight. So, still a toss-up on who's going to come out on top here. But I'm starting to shift a little bit to VeLocity on this map, to be honest. I think they can do it.
I'm kind of wondering where we're gonna go for map number 3. That's what's really gonna bring it down. Even if that's what I'm thinking. I think it's Snow Peak.
Where else do you get the range for Viper to work in? It's Snow Peak. There's nowhere else really. Sand, Shipyard. Maybe there's some hidden long-range angles on. There is some angles on Shipyard, so maybe there. You know, that could be the sleeper pick. I'll put that as the dark horse choice.
Okay. These defensive smokes here are a fantastic idea of forcing John out of that position, which is something you don't normally see smokes used for, but it's working out for BossFight. And you can take, you know, a smoke's only 1 point, so you could take 2 of them for the same price of a frag. Now the grenades are rolling in just short on the VeLocity side onto that diamond.
I want to get in on this smoke analysis trip because I think it did a lot more than even you're giving it credit for. It really proposed the threat that someone could be pushing there. It forced John from being able to exit out of that position he wanted to go through and ultimately pause this VeLocity push. So now that they've deployed, we've only seen 1 smoke, so it's not their whole arsenal, but a utility piece has come out in what seemed to be a response, and they are down now, that 1 piece. So we'll see what the full push ends up looking like. The real threat that they're gonna have to watch out for is radar head trip. I mean, look at this spot.
It's a great spot. It's even more powerful if you put someone on the opposite end as well and get that crossfire line, because you can't come out of this building and look both ways. It's impossible. So putting someone out on the pipe side would have been a strong play here, but it looks like the rest of the defense tucked from behind, waiting for a tunnel approach even.
To the point, though, what a great smoke. Perfectly denying vision from radar if they choose to go far east. If they choose to shift sides and not commit here to this tunnel side, they've got the coverage. Radar doesn't see this. They can make it, but there's other angles. There's other defensive positions that they got to worry about. Lego, if anything, has gotten up into an interesting spot.
I really like how you were using your hands to describe that when I'm the only person that can see you.
I know. It's how I always...
We get really into it. I get it. I get it. I'm gonna put a whiteboard behind me and just draw on it when map plays. Radar hasn't made a noise. I don't know if they know he's that close. And those are not penetrable.
No, there's no utility getting tossed there, which is sort of a standard counter, you know, as you just dump a nade onto those boxes just to be safe. But nothing's come out yet, and yeah, I really think it's going to be bad news for them if they don't get rid of radar and they just go for this push. He's gonna find at least 1 or 2.
And I'm betting you that radar has a click signal to let them know that they're coming through tunnel, because he can hear all these footsteps behind him.
And this position
can't.
leaves so much room for BossFight to work with. I mean, they can do so many different holds now because Radar's covering so much ground here. They can afford to do what they're doing. Look for other angles, take these other shots, get these other picks, and it just makes it so hard for VeLocity to work around. And as I say that, Raylin playing a little bit of a Tetris game here, threads himself through the bricks, gets himself the kill, and another one going down. This is bad news for BossFight. They're getting picked apart.
Viper goes down the C4, not catching John on the end of the tunnel. Arch just coming around the backside and gets John while he's going for the knife on the confirm.
I shouldn't have said that.
I think he was going for the knife. He stopped over the body. Woods on objective, checking, make sure that smoke is clear. Lego.
Oh,
Ooh, the P90 from Raylin gets 2.
what? A huge double there completely opens things up for the this offense, but it's a 2v1, so not exactly a huge advantage. If anything, just evening the odds. But it's enough to get them a dub. The P90 trip, I haven't seen that in league play.
We have to stop the stream. We can't let Sky Joker see this. He'll go back to using it. His favorite gun.
Well, hey, if it, you know what? I would say if it's gonna hamper Mayhem, but frankly, I mean, it was used pretty dang well there. So if anything, maybe it'll boost them back up. Yeah, can't let Mayhem get any more tools into their tool belt. They are already looking good enough this season. So either way, a great executed play, fantastic shots. I mean,
Yeah, it was great. The picks.
yeah, huge.
Radar getting picked up by
massive.
a silent creep up onto it. And he had just looked that way too. Like he looked to his left, went back to center, and then gets picked up immediately. And you know, I'm thinking about this P90 still. Thinking about it. And honestly, if you have if you freehand, you're good. But if you have a stock and you've got it set up for a P90, you can't use anything else. That's one of the bigger detriments for taking that weapon. It's so tight up on your shoulder that your grips won't match. But on the other hand, it's got 50 rounds and it doesn't flag corners because it has no barrel. And your front hand is as far forward. So if you on a close range map, that might be worthwhile.
I mean, yeah, gee, it really just a great play there from Raylin to have the confidence to push up there like that, to dive past the defense that was in the kill in that kill diamond and go for that pick on the backside. I mean, just a great little savvy play. Rotates back in, and then the pick comes in on the Woods. Overall, perfectly executed from VeLocity to get them the 3-2, and truly that round put onto the back of Raylin to get them this lead here that they now have to defend. And what is arguably a very hard objective to defend, the Diamond of Death, as it's so often called, because, well, Trip, it is quite a violent space to be put into, and that's right where the objective is, right in the heart of the diamond. Incredibly tough to defend, and VeLocity are 1 point away from pushing us to a best-of-3 Trip. It's what we are always looking for here on the desk. I couldn't be more excited for this VeLocity team. And if you're BossFight, hey, you're a cap away from getting a series win. You got an objective that's certainly capable. I'm not counting them out here.
I don't know if they're gonna go for a cap. I mean, they're waiting now for this aggressive defensive push. Raylin, John CZ, and Lego all making it up the center.
I loved it. I just like how many the variety there is. Trip. There's so many different ways that this map can be played, depending on how the defense rolls out, the offense rolls out. And this BossFight offense it plays perfectly into this VeLocity defense, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But either way, VeLocity have played it aggressively and gotten into these early setup spots, and BossFight essentially let them. They played it very passively on the rollout, allowing them here. But these are spots that we're familiar with, Trip. These are really meta positions, and if you're Raylin, you got to be careful about peeking through the wall there. His whole toe clipping through that side, he can go down to that.
Raylin also taking that AS Val, so really leaning into the high fire rate non-meta weapons here. The P90 and the AS Val having some of the highest fire rates in the game.
Well, you're in the close quarters. I mean, hey, can't doubt the guy. It's certainly paid off so far. The P90 did some work there in that last round, so Curious to see how that Val pays off. Certainly in a good setup spot, as he does have Radar, Woods, and Viper on this side of the map, patiently waiting to push forward. But that's how all of this boss fight offense is. They are just waiting, burning that clock down.
Yeah, there is a C4 on that door by Raylan as well. They did deactivate it, and it's probably safe because, oh, there's the smoke to block that door. And smoke's being very strong on this one too, because if you just place them on top of all of these center buildings, you can smoke out whoever's inside of them. Unfortunately, they didn't smoke John, and he got a nice angle onto Woods as he pushed up. The call-outs coming out from Scooby about those positions, letting the rest of the team know.
That smoke allows Radar to push up, but it's information that the defense works off of. Raylan shifts back from his position, and Sayonara then covers the tunnel, expecting this rotation from Radar Head simply because the smokes are there. Viper comes charging in as the smoke dissipates. Almost the last time you'd expect someone to push forward and finds one. John gets rid of Archer, a trade in the tunnel, and it leaves BossFight with just one. John's looking to wrap this thing up with a bow on it, but can't quite lock it in just yet. And I guess
John also picked up Scooby before that, so he's doing a lot of damage from that center location.
And let's just talk about it, Trip. The beauties of VR here that you see, Radar or Viper pillaging his opponent, gets an enemy weapon. And so think about it, he's got his teammates' guns lying all around him. He could have swapped out ammo from them, but he opts to go for the AK because it's going to camouflage him just a bit. When he gets into gunfight trades, when he gets into battles, it's going to give the enemy team the perception of, oh, is that our friendly defending? And maybe allow him a few fractions of a second more to get those picks that he needs. And so that's the reason he ends up trading out the opponent's rifle instead of for his teammates. And now, well, we're on board the Lonely Viper show as he's into the 1v3.
I mean, it's a smart play, but I don't know if I could give up all of those drum mags. That
I know, there was a lot,
ready to be
of
looted.
them. Yep.
Two sets of two whole sets, so 6 drum mags on the map, just chilling, waiting, ready to be used. I don't even think there were that many gunshots from BossFight, so they're probably all full. That's like a lot of ammo, 75 times 6.
Hey, I'm not arguing you here, but
you could pre-fire the entire map. You wouldn't even have to stop shooting. You just come around corners, guns blazing, all the way to objective.
could also just hit your shots.
That's not as much fun. I
Here's
like it when the gun goes burnt.
Here's an alternate take on the radar position that we saw earlier. Ray Lynn's actually probably the better position, truly, because this will be able to defend you from the side kill that we saw Radar suffer to, and still holds the same angles, still has the same power. Viper is able to get through, though, and now it's honestly maybe a little bit weak. Viper's gotten past the Ray Lynn defense. He's pushing deeper in, and oh, I like this. Gonna force some rotations from this defense. He's gonna play with them. He tries to get the back of Lego, but the trade comes through, and VeLocity take us to a map 3 decider trip. They have managed to do it here today. They are going up against BossFight #1 in EU, and doing it with style, frankly. And yeah, I mean, before we could even get to the scoreboard trip, before I could even hide and build up the anticipation, BossFight instantly picks into Snow Peak.
Yeah, they had this pick ready to go. They knew exactly where they wanted to go for map number 3.
Uh-huh. I knew
the question
exactly.
is, are we gonna see some swaps? I don't think so. BossFight looking like they have the same lineup.
Yeah, and if you're VeLocity, why change up anything, right? The map, in some ways, in half of its ways, has similarities to Cargo. Half of Snow Peak is close quarters. The other half is downfall, long range, and available for sniper shots. And so, really, it's kind of a gamble for your final map to pick Snow Peak. You don't necessarily know what you're gonna get in terms of, are we gonna be battling in the range? Are we going to be doing it close quarters? You could play this whole map and not get a long range objective. You could play it in the tunnels exclusively, depending on how the scoreline goes. And so we'll see if VeLocity can battle back here. What is BossFight's map pick? And I'm just looking at our first objective trip, and I was making my predictions before I saw it. I'll be hand Scout's honor. Okay, it is going to be the kill box of death, so it is going to be a close quarters objective for the first one of the day.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the warehouse. Kill box of death sounds so much less appealing than warehouse. But it should be a good map. I mean, there's lots of different defenses we've seen from all different kinds of teams. We've seen outside defenses, we've seen inside only defenses, we've seen we're not even going to defend it, we're just going to run out and first contact, everyone shifts that direction. There's all kinds of stuff that we can see.
Yeah, and truly Snow Peak has become a map that I have really been I started off hating and have now really enjoyed. It's something I love to watch simply because of that point trip. There's just so much variety in this map. And again, like we were mentioning, in the short and long range, but then again, too, in the styles of defense, how you defend these short range maps. There's so many options simply because of how big the map is. So, yeah, gonna be fun to see. And we do get a sub. Lego comes back in. So, BossFight, maybe not too pleased with the performance of the roster there on map 2. I do have to update the score for, as VeLocity managed to take it away 4-2, right? Yes, it was.
So they swapped Woods 43 out for Legel and kept Archer in.
Okay. Interesting. There we go.
Yeah.
Now we've got the scores in order. Apology there for the tech hiccup. My fault for not updating them before. I got so excited on the Snow Peak trip. The Snow Peak pick. Oh, that's another tongue twister. The Snow Peak pick trip. That I instantly went to that map choice, and yeah, again, it's got me excited for the series. This is the map 3 decider for, again, those that maybe are unfamiliar with how things work here. We play 3 maps per series in the VRML. The winner goes up in rank on the global ladder. The loser goes down, and that's sort of the gist of it. These teams are playing to be in the top 8 so that they can move on to our season finale, the season final championship, where they'll be competing for prizes from all of our sponsors, which I guess is now as good a time as any to shout them out. HyperX obviously coming in to give you the high quality audio that you're hearing from my mic, the headset on Trip's beautiful face, and the Quadcast, the RGB. It's I recommend it. I really have been enjoying it. It's got great quality coming through. But then also we have a ton of other sponsors. Trip's already talked about it. The ProTube, a great little utility, a great piece of utility to use to increase your aim. It really helps stabilize your real life hands so that you can really isolate your targets in a distance in these shooter games. Obviously, other sponsors like Cyber Shoes helping enhance your immersion. B Haptics also adding to the immersion. So if you want to both run in real life and be shot in real life and have both of those sensations of, you can. There's really a full package here that if you put it together, you've got the audio supporting you from HyperX. You've got the B Haptic sensors, you've got the Cyber Shoes for running, you've got the ProTube to aim. Also, have you tried that haptic feedback ProTube mount Trip? That thing is pretty, if you want to, talk about the haptics, you could really pile it on. And then obviously underneath all of that, you got your VR wear, great clothing option, custom VRML content, and then also jerseys from Arma. Tons of sponsors coming together to ultimately offer prizes for our competing champions. And it's got me really excited for Season 11 finals simply because of how great Season 11 has been already. And it's also got me wondering what the heck has taken so long. I want to get into the action, Trip.
I want someone to put on a piece of equipment from all of our sponsors and take a photo.
Yep.
Send me a photo, and
Please.
we'll send you a HyperX 20% off coupon.
There you go. There you go. And hey, keep an eye out for those too. We'll be doing more giveaways on these channels when these games are live. So be sure to be tuning in to, obviously, Echo Arena when that Season 4 kicks off, and then Onward Season 11 that's live right now. You can watch our games regularly at Onward_VRML on Twitch TV. You can also catch them here on the weekends and also on Venues, which is where we're live right now. Shout out to all the folks tuning in at Venues, by the way. Big appreciation to you hanging out and watching in what is arguably one of the cooler ways to watch VR esports.
Yeah, just need some of that real life popcorn, and you can sit back, relax, watch. I mean, that's great.
Yep. Yeah, it really is. We are now back into it. All we had to do, Trip, was complain a touch, and they heard us. And so we do go to that kill box objective. I really want to see how it ends up getting attacked and defended. And the overhead's going to do us a lot of work here. It's going to help us a lot to sort of identify what this rollout looks like, what the defense looks like, and this is 5 stacked inside, Trip. This is something we've seen work very well, but not often executed.
Yeah, there's only 4 entrances into this objective. So 5 stacked means you've got 1 flex player, which looks like it's going to be John as he's moving around inside the objective. I wonder how much utility has been invested outside. Is there C4 hanging out on the slopes, the icy slopes? Is C4 affected by temperature? Does the detonator stop working, if it gets too cold?
Right.
Are these things you need to worry about?
Yeah, I don't... thankfully, they're not, but it would be cool if they were. I don't want to throw anyone off and to think that the Onward is that realistic. No, you don't have to worry about your C4 freezing in the snow. But, yeah, it certainly could be placed outside there in some sort of tucked-in position like an icicle in the rafters, but for now, nothing's going to be coming through simply because the rollout takes time. The way this rollout works is that they have 3 inside, which are relatively close to immediate action. The other 2 have invested in a long rotation on the outside to put themselves over onto the north. Now, you could argue that this long rotation is not necessary because Legal is also right here. He has made it to the same position that Viper has by going all the way around to the south, by simply sticking with his team and eventually branching off when it came time to. I think they know that each other are here, so I don't anticipate a team kill, and that is a drone that you heard just buzz by. So that's also getting utilized to clear out this. That's what that's doing. The drone is clearing out the courtyard space, which is a great use of it. I don't think I've seen it used on this objective for that purpose.
Not a whole lot of teams use the drone anyways.
Yeah.
BossFight being one of the heaviest drone users, both offense and defense when the Volk drone was allowed. But yeah, using it to clear out those outside spaces, because we've seen people hang out on the mountaintops here and wait for the approach from BossFight on this angle here with Viper and Legel, and then shooting them in the back or in the side. Legel downing Little Sayonara with a nice 203 through the door. Not his intended target probably, but it definitely works.
Apologies for the camera hiccup there. I don't know what that was, but yes, the power of the M2 of that nade threw me into a lag fit. But either way, we're back at it, and Sayonara is back at it as well. The res comes through, so ultimately a big piece of utility being used and not doing a lot of damage.
Oh, you hit him. Did I hit him? Didn't look like it. I saw blood. Okay.
Legel saying he saw blood.
Yeah, well, that doesn't... It's not necessarily a confirmation of anything. There can be, what you see may not be what is actually happening, and so maybe blood was splattered there. Maybe he was tagged. I don't know. I didn't see the heal come through or not. But you can get shot and not go down, despite what some may believe that have played Onward before and not had much success. You can get shot and stay alive. It's just a matter of being tagged in like a shoulder or the body armor or someplace that has some protection. So John able to stay alive here for a little while longer, but it does leave both him and Sayonara 1 bullet away from death.
Yeah. The damage matrix has been thoroughly diagnosed in the Onward VR Master League community. Oh, that nade coming in from Scooby, not cooked enough. Did land right on top of John. John missing the shots onto Scooby. Now he's rotating his attention. He's throwing a C4 up and out, but he's already dead. Braylon with that Val takes him out. Another res coming out for VeLocity, still 5 strong. BossFight is inside. Viper's pushing on to objective now. He takes down one, Radar gets another. Viper gets a third, and the fourth.
And that's a great pinch. That's the risk of the full setup inside. If you allow a team to take control of multiple entryways, then you are ultimately exposed to a collapse onto the objective. And perfectly executed from BossFight there on offense. Patiently pushed through. Great use of the M203 to get the pick, throw some rotations up, get some information. They find the kills they need, and then ultimately collapse on all of the entryways. The suppressive fire from Radar gets multiple kills, allowing Viper to get the free and easy entryway, get the backs of some defensive players exposed, gets himself a couple of easy kills, and ultimately a solid 1-0 advantage now. And not where you want to be if you're VeLocity. To go onto this objective down one, I mean, this could be a pretty quick 2-0 if BossFight defend this one appropriately.
Yeah, I think that they'll probably be able to. They've got that C4 usage pretty well down. You can only clear so much. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about this entry that BossFight did though, and if you send everyone in all at once, right? You want to pinch, but if you all breach at the same time, then you get so much confusion inside because there's smokes, there's flashes, there's 10 people fighting in a little room, and that's where the team kills come out. We've seen a lot of defenders just hearing gunshots, swinging, and shooting the first thing they see, or vice versa. The attackers taking out teammates as they come through opposite doors. And so the coordination and the ability to do that without taking down a friendly is very impressive on both sides, both VeLocity and BossFight, neither one shooting the wrong team. But that's where the caps come out too, is the chaos that ensues when everyone just runs in here.
I mean, also on top of that, that's when communication matters the most, right? And with a team like BossFight, they're all in sync. They're all communicating. I'm entering. I'm here. I'm positioned here. We're going in 30. You know, they're very much, Scooby's navigating them on their timing to make sure they are all coordinated, and you just see that ultimately come to fruition quite very, very well there in that final push. We do go again. We switch sides, and so now VeLocity get to attack, and you can see why I like to call this the kill box, the box of death, the diamond of death. I guess there's a lot of shapes of death in Onward, but it is very much a tough objective, really, to I don't know. It goes both ways. I feel like it's awkward to defend and attack. It just depends on what your picks you get.
I think I'd rather defend this than attack it.
Okay. Viper tossed a C4. Doesn't have faith in it. I'm curious where it landed. Trip, do some research. Dig around there for that one. I'm going to keep an eye on Scooby and Lego, who are getting aggressive in the tunnels, but they're not going to find anything. That's what you were talking about earlier, Trip, where they can opt for multiple different styles of defense. You can tuck in, you can go on the outside courtyard, or you can just fully extend out and look for picks. And it's what both Radar, Lego, and Scooby have done, and they're not going to find anything. This whole VeLocity offense is pushing into the south, and it actually could pay off. I mean, if they just went straight up and challenged Viper, there really could be some quick success for VeLocity here, but I can't imagine BossFight holds those extended positions for too long. I think eventually, once they don't get any information, that will be information, and they'll shift here. And especially now that shots have come in from Radar Head, that's information for them to work with, and I imagine rotations are going to come through.
Yeah, those long angles from Radar paying off, making the call onto that rotation through the lake. I have no idea where Viper got that C4 too, so we're just gonna have to wait until it explodes.
Okay.
I'm gonna rotate back to fight them as they arrive.
If he doesn't have faith in it, I don't know that I have faith in it. I trust the Viper.
Scooby here on the south could be the first to the action. He continues this shift, he'll eventually be running into John and Little Sayonara.
It's actually a great rotation from Scooby off of the callouts from Radar. Knowing that they're going north, rotates around the backside, and I don't think I've ever looked for this position coming up the south. I immediately turn that corner and look for that door kill.
Yeah, but that's also probably because you invest 1 or 2 into pushing the tunnel. You know, very rarely do you not have anyone go through the tunnel and ultimately clear out this side. And so I imagine they'll be at least a little bit wary of it. I imagine they'll probably invest 1 into poking around into this tunnel side. And so Scooby should be finding some action soon enough. He does. That trade's going to favor the likes of VeLocity simply because the res can easily be scooped up and the confirm can come through.
Scooby making those call-outs just down. John does get rezzed. Raylid, Turtle, and John pushing onto that tunnel. I wonder if Legel's going to push out here. Scooby does get confirmed.
Oh, that'd be huge. A Lego push here could do a lot of work. The flash comes in, and I think it... Oh, wow. I thought it caught them, but I actually think it blinded Legel. I think Legel might have flashed himself and pushed forward, anticipating no one really here. And ultimately, the offense picks him down. Either that or it was just a bit of a misplay, and now VeLocity have full control of the outer courtyard. This is looking great for them in the 5v3.
VeLocity making sure that that tunnel is actually clear as 2 people have come out of there.
Yeah. Like a clown car. More and more defenders keep coming out.
Lego going to be pushing up on a radar's position of the U tunnel now. And he finds that kill as well with that M16. Clearing out all the outside defenders. The offense from VeLocity stacking up, staging on these doors, getting ready to push in. Viper.
There was the C4 on the wall. Catches Raylin, and Viper's going to charge around. Raylin gets revived, I think disconnects. Viper comes around to get the kill. Would have been 2 either way, but VeLocity cut down to 3.
Only 1 defender left. Viper, last man standing. That flash should have got John. He's blind. He comes back out. He wasn't blind.
Yeah, I think John tucked around that pillar just as the flash came through, and ultimately we're trading Marsoc rounds here in the close quarters, and we continue to keep it close, which is, again, the risk that BossFight took picking this map with how well VeLocity did on Cargo. And we go to another indoors objective in the tunnels where it's all tight corners and alleyways, and maybe another opportunity for VeLocity to get some points on the board, but frankly, I just don't know where this one's going to take us, Trip. We're tied up here on map 3, the series decider. Both teams have done well on their map picks, and now I feel like this map really favors both teams in different ways. And so if BossFight can... Here's I think, the win conditions, right? VeLocity defend here, get the 2-1 lead, and then hunt for a cap, truly. I think you get that 2-1 and you go and you try and set up the cap on this objective, because you're not going to get another close quarters objective. These are the only 2. If you're a BossFight, you just got to weather the storm. You just got to play through these close quarters objectives that you have very unluckily gotten back to back on your map pick, and then eventually you'll get all of the long range objectives that are available, where you can then put Viper into sniper positions where we know he excels and is comfortable. And I mean, hey, maybe you don't need him there. He's already 4-1, so he can do well without the sniper. But I don't know. I think it's a big element in the BossFight sort of play style is to have that range.
I would definitely agree. When we choose Snow Peak, these are the 2 objectives we want back-to-back. We like these objectives. So for the quicker teams, they're definitely the best option, especially when it's not your map choice to begin with.
Yeah, and let's just kind of refresh. I'm looking at chat too, and they're reminding me that downfall map, although it was 4-1, the cap was because there was one tiny gap in coverage that they thread the needle to get the cap in. That ultimately puts them up 2-0 out the start, and then they get that 4-1 map. I think map 1 gets a lot closer if that cap doesn't come through. I think we're looking at maybe a 3-3, a 4th, that ultimately turns into a 4-3. I don't know which way that goes. And so if we are thinking range is the advantage, maybe even then it might not be enough. And so I don't know. VeLocity has been looking good today. They've had great discipline on those on the defensive rounds, on those long-range objectives, on downfall. So, truly, I think anything's up in the air for this final map. I just waiting for these to start it. There's been a long pause in between rounds. They're really taking their time to sort things out.
Yeah, thinking back to downfall, that Legil running into that building, tablet out.
Yeah,
That's
right.
one of those whole, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me.
Yeah.
He's just running for it. Like, if I make this, I make it. Great.
Absolutely.
If I don't, my team's got the refrag. You know, especially round one, you can throw that out there and give up a point and still make your comeback no problem. So it's really a worthwhile investment, I think.
Yeah, we had a big host come in from Obake TV. Shout out to that for onto Twitch if you are tuning into Twitch. We also obviously have people on YouTube, Facebook, and venues. So audiences across multiple platforms watching. We do appreciate everybody that is watching. I suppose it's now as good a time as any to shout you out and appreciation. We've had a couple new follows come through on that Twitch channel, so big shout out to those folk as well. And if you are on YouTube, give us that subscribe button. We got all kinds of content coming out. Trip's done a couple of great interviews on that YouTube channel of teams. If you want to sort of get an insight into the personalities of these players, you can check out the VRML Onward VRML YouTube channel and watch those interviews. I mean, they're great. They're good fun. They're lighthearted. You get to know the teams more. Trip's having a good time in them. I recommend you go check them out. And yeah, please. The YouTube's been growing, and so the more subs, the merrier to that platform. Really do appreciate it. That's about enough time, Trip. The action has begun.
You did it. You did it. It's like we're professionals. This is round three. Round three.
Oh man, and the accurate quick math. What a great job from us here at the desk today.
And the
round
quick
three.
spawn here from BossFight.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even know this was a spawn. Jeez, radar's already here.
I don't know if they heard him make that cross either. He just ran right past that door,
weird.
didn't even look at it. The defense from VeLocity, 4 in the tunnel, and John pushing out a little bit. But I do like it. I mean, this seems like a pretty solid defense. I approve. Trip approve defense. We're gonna keep track now.
The real kicker is the Lego and B6 positions. While we have the red outline, you can see there when we don't, they are really blended in here. They are deep into the darkness of this tunnel, and it makes them very hard to identify until shots are taken. Once they've shot, they're done. Position's exposed, pretty easy to get taken out of. Nades can get tossed here and do a great job, and so it's really sort of a first contact defensive position, but it should pay off, I imagine. I'm sure BossFight are wary of these spots, and so again, it's a kind of a toss-up on what the team ends up executing. But
the other thing is that objective is super close to these doors, and a lot of smoke, or even just a little smoke in this tunnel, can block a lot of vision.
Yep.
I mean, Raylin would just have to start pre-firing, but she's running. Oh, G3 this time. G36. So a little bit more ammo. Not gonna have to reload as often, and probably has a C4 out somewhere too. Let's see. Do you have a clacker? You do not. It's a shame that you take specialist and don't have a clacker.
Could have given it to a teammate. You know, could be.
I was gonna say, what's the other
else.
point? What other utility do you opt to take that isn't C4? You just have frag? You can only take one frag, and I still think you have the points to take a C4. So you had to have taken something else.
Trying to look at the gun. Maybe there's, an extra attachment there or something. The silencer is on the G36. That's certainly a good amount of points to that loadout that you end up ultimately having. Maybe body, I don't know. Who knows what the ultimate decision is there on that loadout choice, but maybe one day we'll have that information just presented to us, Trip. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
That would be so beautiful. I would love to have that.
Oh, it would be so great to know the ins and outs of the choices that these players are making. What kind of guns they're going with, how many nades they've tapped, what the utility picks are, and I'm optimistic for the future. Maybe one day we'll have that, but for now we have to go off of our eyeballs and just observe what they're using, and that becomes a bit of a challenge sometimes as the kinematics can get a little wonky. We see Lego there in an interesting position. B6 turned into a Superman as well. So just us buying time here at the death trip, truly, for BossFight to set up. Interestingly enough, they get that quick spawn and then literally go the longest rotation they can to get to where they are now.
Yeah, I can tell you the biggest utility used on the BossFight side is time. They spend, I mean, they have this planned out. There's no reason to not use that quick spawn unless you have an attack strategy that you just want to use, that you think is going to work. And that's what we're seeing here for BossFight. They're staging and getting ready to push. 2 minutes, 15 seconds left on the clock.
And really what it was, they kind of laid a blanket of coverage. They slowly they rolled out the initial defensive setup where Legal is now to hold angles. And as I say that, he's pushing. He seems to be a bit out of order there. A bit ahead of the team. The rest of the squad hadn't quite charged in yet, and Turtle has the opportunity to easily get the kills. And now that they have themselves all set up, the push is coming through. The smoke's right where you predicted them. Radar finds one through it. Raylin with a good rebuttal, and Lonely is going to continue to push. Raylin exposed. The defense is here. Offense is here. Viper's on objective. Archer's pad out. Turtle denies it. John team kills Turtle, and Turtle can't challenge the corner. Archer punches in the code. BossFight take a 3-1 lead. That's the worst case scenario for VeLocity, but exactly what BossFight were looking for.
Yeah, the play there from BossFight was solid. Viper pushing up onto objective. Stops, looks back, sees Archer there, and continues his push through the tunnel to get killed. He was there as a decoy. He goes down, and unfortunately the team kill also from John in that long pre-fire. The tunnel is only so big, and so
they must be listening to you, Trip, because if I recall, that's your play. You clear the objective, and then you keep going for the hunt while you call out to the back of your team to punch in the code. I mean, that's what that was. That was exactly what that play was, and ultimately it works. It shuts down the initial charge. That defense player, whoever it was, is going to get through the smokes, swing that corner, and be able to deny the cap. So a huge play ultimately from Viper. Shut down that opportunity. A good pickup from Radar through the smoke to deny another defender from possibly pushing in. And ultimately, solid job. You know, you may be wondering, why isn't there a C4 there? You know, why don't you just talk? And that's because you can't place C4 within a certain radius around an objective. And so the option to sort of have a safeguard on that spot is not there. And ultimately, a good cap comes through for BossFight. And now all they got to do is defend. They've got themselves 3-1, and they're looking at series point coming up.
And they're moving to the, where is this objective? The shack objective, South Center shack. Nope. Where's it at? Just kidding. We're not moving objectives. I'm seeing other dots on my map. I'm losing my mind. Back in the tunnel.
Nothing,
pushing the tunnel where I was before.
nothing, not objective switching yet. And again, this is basically BossFight executing the plan that VeLocity, I had in mind for VeLocity. They were going to defend that objective and then get the cap and potentially win this map. But BossFight now simply have to defend. They've got the cap already. And this is going to be interesting. A 5-man rollout from VeLocity. Everyone stacked up into the tunnels.
I mean, 5 strong. We've seen that push before, but Legel does get one with a grenade.
Yeah, he does, but when there's 5, you have to be ready for the refrags and the different angles. And good teamwork from VeLocity to even the odds back into their favor. 4-4. Well, not into their favor, but to even it back out 4-4. And yeah, this is a fast push as a team. That seems to be the play here from this VeLocity offense. I think it'll work well when it comes time for them to push out and execute it. We'll see. You know, time will only tell. With 5 minutes left on the clock, maybe they can do it. Let's listen into their coordination in the comms. Maybe we can glean some info there.
We do have the P90 suppressor, hollow, you know, the epic combo there from Raylin.
Yeah, and I was going to call you out there, Trip. You said the barrel doesn't end up clearing a corner, but when you got that silencer, it's certainly clearing a corner.
Well, he didn't have it on there last time.
Sure. Straight comes in, favors VeLocity. Now they've got themselves a little advantage. 4-3, exactly how they needed things to work out. Turtle could be next up in line to challenge if he decides to pop out here and look for some action down to radar. And honestly, Objective's looking a little weak on coverage, if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, the defender's getting picked off out in the tunnels. When you're holding this objective and you've got people on it, I mean, that's a really risky push that doesn't really need to happen. It's way easier to defend once they come into the tunnel. You've got a kill box. You can just, especially if you don't stack, if you're the last guy and you stack on the tunnel, you can just shoot anything that moves towards the end of the tunnel, like from where radar is. Anything that's past him, down where those smokes are, he can just shoot. He doesn't even need to worry about it. And I think there's good defensive strategies that you can employ on this tunnel that lean into that kind of fire.
At the same time, though, this smoke is intentional. It's there to draw that exact idea from Radar Head, to force him to take shots through the smoke, give away his position, and then Sayonara and Raylan can act. They can pop out of this hallway and challenge Radar Head, who is now very distracted by the likes of Turtle and John over here. He's got his back to Sayonara and Raylan, and if they can get rid of Viper, they've got themselves an opportunity.
They do get rid of Radar. He's down and out. Bad nade from somebody there. Scooby coming up, trying to nade the far end of the tunnel, pushing up onto, wow, a double kill right there for Scooby and Viper both going down.
Yeah, solid job there from VeLocity. They climb back and, geez, if they had just set down the cap, if they had just had a better defensive round, if they had played tight D like they had every other round, they could have been into a 3-1 right now against the #1 team in EU. Instead, they keep things close. They bring it back to a 3-2, but still, it is series point on the line for BossFight, and we do shift now to the range, and frankly, I think this might be honestly into the advantage of VeLocity. VeLocity did great on defensive rounds on downfall. They really did. They had solid defensive holds. They were great at holding a tight kill box. If they just set that up here, the sniper advantage from Viper may not find a whole lot of opportunities, and ultimately VeLocity can tie this up 3 apiece. That, of course, is a challenge. It's not an easy task set forth for this VeLocity team, but we could very well be looking at a 3-3 map 3 round decider at the end of the day trip if things work out for VeLocity in this next round.
There's not a lot of approaches to this objective. I mean, you have to come across the lake or around the lake, or you come down that north, which is relatively exposed. Not a lot of cover until you get up onto the objective, up into the courtyard here with the helicopter. And I don't know what the best approach is for it. Like I said, honestly, the short objectives, close range objectives, they're better.
Yeah, we'll see what ultimately VeLocity does on this defensive round as we dive back into the action for round number 5. That's right, the math was accurate and fast. Get me on the mathletes, the math Olympics, whatever, but either way, we are into the action here for what could be the final round if BossFight can scrape out a dub.
They are spawning in the twin hangars in the southwest corner of the map and not pushing out at all. They're just hanging out if you look at the overhead. Now 3 moving south, the 2 going north across that kill box that is the lake. It's going to be Viper with that sniper rifle, obviously.
Yeah, but to your point of them not pushing out, it's put John into a great position, but he just does a desk pop there. And so if they're really paying attention, a little bit of information potentially given away. But, oh yeah, they are. You can see Viper now. Dialed into the bunker, but John has managed to get up into a forward aggressive spot and is waiting for the push to come through. It's risky at the same time, but that's what you got. Why worry about a cap right now? If a cap comes through, you lose. The same way as if they kill your whole team. So
right.
Being extended out, if anything, is the right play to make because you need the kills and you need to get this defensive dub.
Now the question really is, does John get his first kill here and then push out, or does he just get the kill and stay tucked in and force everyone to come to him? Honestly, I think getting a kill and moving is the way to go. Rotating out, maybe towards the horseshoe. I mean, he can't really go lakeside because then Viper can pick him up. And there's the drone. And there's the 203 from Legel.
It would have been an amazing position if he hadn't shot his gun. He shot one bullet on accident when he got into position, and he was done. Viper knew right where that gunfire came from. There's no real other place he could have been. Of course, he's in bunker. And then from there, the M203 comes through to get the kill. Easy as that. VeLocity down one early, and ultimately have no information gained. They really have not received anything from that aggressive position. No trades, no nothing. And so it's going to come down to their on-objective defense, which I have talked about is pretty dang good. And so, again, we'll see if BossFight can execute when it comes time to it, when it comes time to the push, or if VeLocity defense will hold tight. But it's truly now, I don't imagine there's going to be many early picks outside of that one that we just saw. Oh, I do say that though. Oh, I just saw a laser there from Viper, a crazy little angle through the gate, through the door. If Lego is 2 feet forward, he's dead from Viper's sniper there.
Through that window? Oh, wow. That would be an epic thread.
I saw the laser go through there for just a moment. So Viper's certainly aware that he can take that shot, but Lego is back just far enough to shut down that angle. And, oh, as I say that, he might not be. There it is.
Oh, Viper had to have seen that.
It was right on top of him. He's just scanning. And so we're just seeing the laser scan, basically. I don't think he saw that. Because he's dropping off of the angle he had there, and, you know, he can't take those shots now. And this is, I'm sure, just kind of eating away at Viper, honestly. He's just not able to find anything, not able to get any information to radio to his team or anything. And so everyone's kind of working dark here, which is not historically how BossFight push.
Radar here might have an angle. No, Legel actually has the angle on the turtle. He goes down. Raylin gets radar in the north, but he's still resable and can't be confirmed. No way to throw anything that far. Scooby pushing across the lake with Viper. Scooby's up on objective. Entrance now. And Archer's moving up as well. Nade's going up. Oh, that one hitting a tree. Unfortunate stop on the nade there.
And honestly, this is looking good for BossFight. The utility's out, the distractions are there. Lego doesn't get identified yet again. Here come some shots from Sayonara. One goes down, the revive on the backside coming into radar. That's going to be huge. Sayonara with a double. That's big. Puts him into the 3v2. Archer can get rezzed, but is he going to be is the question. Is Viper going to go for the res? No, Viper's got up to the tower, exposed himself to Raylin, and down he goes. Now it's up to the final two. Lego and Radar Head in a 1v2, and Lego's position is huge, Trip.
Archer is able to make the callouts, but Lego does catch Radar on the cross. Radar pushing up aggressively. Not really sure why he left cover that early while a gunfight was happening. Now Legel pushing up.
There's only 40 seconds left. He had to push. He doesn't have a lot of time to work with. The clock ticking away, and now Lego concerned about where the heck Lego for days is, and Lego's shifted. He's rotated positions, and so there's so much Lego has to do here. He's got to go up into the 1v1 against Lego, then challenge on objective. A smoke comes out, 2 smokes, no flash. He just goes past Lego. That's one. Can he get the other? Can he lock in the series for BossFight? It's 3-2, and he's pushing to objective. 15 seconds left. Plenty of time to work with, truly, and he finds Raylin on the corner. BossFight lock in the series by the skin of their teeth with a clutch round from Lego to go up 4-2.
Wow, Legel made that cross, got shot at, was going for objective, opted to go back for the kill, took some shots. Raylin tucked in, and then just Legel with the celebration. You see the hands in the air.
Yep.
Man, a clutch round from him.
And just play the timer. play the timer there. You know, you've got 15 seconds left. There's a huge distance for him to cover. He has to come to you. As Raylan, you do not need to challenge that angle. All you needed to do was tuck back in, and I got to go look, Trip. I almost wonder maybe he got caught on something. No, he had the option. He could have dropped back and covered and had all the cover in the world and forced Lego to come to him, but the challenge gets the better of him. In the moment, he can't deny the need to fight, and ultimately it goes into BossFight's hands 4-2. But what a great series from these two teams. VeLocity coming in here today and delivering with a great matchup. And if you had fun here, you know, before you go, there's going to be another one later today. We've got another great NA matchup in just 4 hours time, I believe. So you're going to want to tune in and catch that one. That one's going to be incredibly exciting. I think that's Mayhem. No, is it? It's Error 404 versus somebody.
Mayhem. No, Ember.
Ember, that's right. Ember versus Error 404. That's going to be a great high-tier NA matchup, just like this one was. So be sure to tune into that in 4 hours time from now, live here on VR Master League and on Venues, YouTube, and Facebook, where we've been live all day today. Big shout out to all of you, and again, a shout out to all of our sponsors for ultimately coming together and offering us some good prizes for our championship teams when we get down to the end of the season. It's always exciting to see who is the best of the best and who deserves that full immersive package that we offer to our champions. But Trip, any sort of final thoughts on today's series?
I do not have a whole lot. I mean, we saw great offense. We saw great defense.
Yep.
Some lucky picks. We do see BossFight rocking that 203 a lot more. I think they take it every round now when possible.
Yep.
So we're seeing some of the new utility coming out, and we're seeing different uses of smokes. We're seeing new angles because the maps have changed, and they're great matchups. BossFight's once again proving that they're #1 in the EU right now. I think they are #1 in the world right now.
Yeah, they are playing very good. The best that they have played, arguably, in any season, and it's showing. They are doing really good season. In Season 11, they're very disciplined, very coordinated. They have multiple threats from multiple players, and it makes it so hard to go up against them. It makes it hard to pick a map. It makes it hard to really have confidence when you're going up against BossFight. And VeLocity really doing well here to challenge this team as much as they did. A team that I'm going to have to keep an eye on more. This VeLocity squad, certainly one that is going to be a threat to a lot of teams at the end of that season. And so either way, a fantastic series to tune into, a great one to deliver to you folks over on Venues, and we do appreciate everyone that was tuning in today to catch the action on all of the different platforms. And again, a reminder to tune in just 4 hours time for the NA matchup over on this channel and on Venues as well. That'll be it for us here on the desk, though. My name has been Nightfire, my co-caster Trip. We do appreciate you all, and we will see you all in just a few hours. Don't go anywhere.